Hello everyone, my name is Alessandro and this is the Temple of Surf, the podcast. We'll give you full access to the best surfers, skaters, shapers, surfboard collectors, shop owners in the world. Discover with me their stories, the greatest successes, amazing behind the scenes and much more. This episode is brought to you by Yogi Pipe, a line of apparel created with eco-friendly materials by artisans from all over the world. Let's discover more about them and their collection on www.yogipipe.surf. Hello everyone and welcome to the 13th episode of the Temple of Surf, the podcast. Today with us from Australia is Longboard Champion and shaper Beau Young. Let's discover more about his career, his passion for longboard, his stories and much more. Hi Beau and welcome to the show. Where are you today?
I am in my little barn just north of Byron Bay, about 25 minutes on a small farm where I live. And life's good.
Nice. How is it going over there? I heard that that part of Australia is still not blocked by coronavirus, right? You guys can go to surf and can go around.
Yeah, we can go surfing. There hasn't been any major lockdowns, but there's been like a second wave in Melbourne and now Sydney. So it's definitely still about.
Yeah, we need to be cautious, right? It's a different world what we are living in right now, unfortunately. But we stay positive. So today we're gonna talk about you. We're gonna talk about your life, your music, your surf, and a lot of other things, future projects. But the first question that I have for you is, what, in your opinion, is the most important thing in surfing?
I think the most important thing in surfing is to realize that, for me personally, it's the deepest form of communing with nature. I think that the love just gets stronger, and for me, I think that's the most important aspect of being a surfer, is to take away from every single session, regardless of how well you're surfing or how the conditions are, or where you are, that you're connected to the largest part of the planet in its true natural form, and you get to be part of that, and it makes you aware of the things that you stand for, and ideally it makes you a better person through that communion with nature. Ultimately, I think that's the most important aspect of being able to paddle out that I take away from the surfing experience.
Definitely so powerful, right? It's what nature gives you back, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, surfing's so many things now. It's a sport, it's alternative boards, it's a fashion, it's so many things, but really at its core essence, it's purely nature.
Yeah, definitely I agree with you. You don't need more than a pair of board shorts or like a swimsuit and a board, and that's it, right? A leash if you want. Otherwise,
yeah.
No leash.
Yeah. I think the word is ionization, where you dive in salt water, and the benefits it gives you to your spirit, to your overall outlook, all those things is pretty incredible. So obviously I like the aspect of surfing, no matter, obviously given the world in its current state, it's pretty crazy, as you mentioned. And you can go to the ocean if you're happy or sad, depressed, or you can go to the ocean in any mood, and it's there for you.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you exit the water after a surf feeling good about life, and on a good foot. The good foot, the positive outlook. I think that's what surfing gives.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. Do you remember your first surfboard? And you still have that?
I remember I don't still have it, unfortunately. It was a foam surfboard with a blue like cloth covering that was under the Christmas tree. It had a black fin with a blue tip, and the board was about probably 3 inches thick and very, very corky. And it was like all my Christmases had come at once. It was so cool. And I think before that, the very first wave I would have ridden was on my father's back, catching the foam and clinging onto his back. And then I also remember the very first board that I was given, like proper foam and fiberglass surfboard. I got given that probably quite late, probably around 10 years old.
Okay.
And it was one that Dad had hand-shaped, and it was a birthday present many years later. But the foam one was definitely the first time I received a surfboard, something that could float and catch waves. So, yeah.
Something that will tell you surfing is easy, because of the thickness, you could catch any wave and, into the sport.
I definitely remember the rash that the kind of whatever that stuff, the fabric, plastic cloth or whatever it was. It wasn't designed to paddle without a wetsuit.
No, I know the feeling, right? It's like those were very dangerous surfboard for like the nipples and rush and everything, right? We all had those. I ask you, what is the most important thing in surfing? What is the most important thing in shaping? And as well as also you are a musician in songwriting.
Yeah, they're actually quite different, really.
Yeah, right.
Shaping, well, obviously 95% of all shapers now, I would say, or 90%, but more like 95% shape boards off the computer. But with hand shaping, I think every single step of creating the finished surfboard is highly important, because you're going through a process to get to the end result. So, for example, getting the blank to thickness, that's probably the most basic part, because you're just whittling away and you can kind of screw that up. But when it comes to doing an outline, everything has to be true and perfect. And then when it comes to getting the right rockers, you can't have bumps in your rockers. There can't be bumps.
Yeah.
Which has been an incredible experience for me, because songwriting is really quite free. With songwriting, you can let the mind wander. Say the song is about love, or the song is about the planet. The mind can go where it wants. So it's definitely not as structured, and then you can just change those lyrics to. It's quite amazing how you can use words to sum up immense feeling. Combine it with an instrument and then sing it. It's really quite free. When you put those elements together and you're happy with a phrase or a chorus, and you've sung it 100 times till you feel as though in that space your voice can really be free, that's liberating. And it makes you feel in touch but also free. And then shaping, it's really only with the end result, when you finally put that person's name and their measurements and you're happy with the feel, you know what their ability is, you know what they were after, and you've done your best to create that from a block of foam. It's only when you stand back and look at the board and have felt the rails and all the different curves that go together to create something for someone, that's when you truly feel like you're free. But during the process of hand shaping, there's a lot less freedom, I find. Maybe it's where I am with my shaping, because I'm sure the old time shapers pick up a container and it's just like like they say when you strum a guitar, you're flicking water off your fingers, like it's free and relaxed. So with that, that's how they are with a planer. But for me, shaping's still very much mental and calculating, often overthinking in mind. You know, rails being the biggest issue, trying to get that exact rail how you want it is still a challenge.
Yeah.
Every time. So,
but it's a positive challenge, right? Because at the end, you improve yourself, and then eventually you will go faster and faster, you know. But I guess it's also a form of accomplishment, you know. Like, oh my God, I did that! I did it with my hands, you know. I'm proud of it, and the person that you did the board for will come back to you and say, oh my God, you know, this board like is so great, you know. And I think it's about satisfaction, right? It's about accomplishment.
It really is. It's amazing when you get feedback like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I felt a lot about music, because you play to the people, but you're also with the people. And generally the people at the show understand your thinking, and obviously they have similar thinking or they wouldn't be there. With surfing, it can be quite selfish. But as we talked about with the first question, it's what you take from being able to do such an incredible thing.
Yeah.
So you can come back to land, and that has changed your outlook and your day and how you communicate with others and your respect for the environment and all those things. Then I think it's a pretty incredible thing to be able to do at the best of times. But if you can be able to do it and give back in some way, then it's incredibly powerful.
Definitely. I agree with you. Let's do a little journey into your songwriting, and then we switch back to surfing. But yes, you said basically like people, you are there with people in that moment, and people sing along and they understand your song, your verses, your lyrics. Sometimes they make their song, right? Your song's their song. Sometimes they misinterpret your lyrics and they think you were talking about something while you were talking about something else, and that actually is fun, you know. But the question that I have for you is, aren't you ever afraid of revealing aspects of your personal life or personal experience to strangers, means to the audience, through your music?
I think we all go through times of heartache and being down and out, and there's that aspect. I call them sad bastard songs. And I could definitely write in that way, but I honestly stand back and look at everything, and I can't not show the positivity of being alive. And even so, even if I were to die this afternoon, the positivity of the fact that I believe that we're still here in some way, form, or fashion. And so there's no doubt that music leaves you incredibly vulnerable, but I don't think it's, like I was saying, I don't think it's a personal journey. I think it involves all of us, you know. That's what makes it so powerful. And I think that's the same for surfing and being in love with natural activities as well, you know.
Yeah.
I think it would be belittling what music is to say that this is my song and I've been hard done by it this time, but I've come through it and aren't I fantastic? It's like, no, because ultimately you want to, as you were saying, even if people misinterpret your wording, we can all tap into the melody and the feel and what that conjures in all of us, you know. It's ultimately about all of us.
It's a matter of connecting each other on another level, right? And I guess if we do that with the music, we can do that also with surf, because a lot of people say surf is a very individualistic sport, right? You are just out there alone. But talking now with in this podcast with a lot of surfers, shapers, and a lot of people in the surf, there is nothing better than to share a moment with somebody else, right? Like when you catch a wave and you have somebody next to you, and then you can both remember that wave, right? Otherwise, it will be just another story about, oh, I catch a big wave, but nobody saw it, right? And then it's just your feeling, but there is no connection. And I see like music and surf creates that connection that is more human, right?
It's interesting the way you even describe that, because having been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time in Italy, and it's that passion, it's that wanting to share that experience. Like it's a fine line for me, because like I love that about Italy and the people. Like, sure, the surf history may be quite short.
Yeah,
it reminds me a lot of like with Japanese and Italians. I think there's a lot in common. Just it may be the history in both of your countries, like as far as culturally, but as far as embracing different forms of surfcraft, at pivotal times, in my opinion, way before, the retro movement and things like that were even anywhere near what they are now. Countries like Japan and Italy had already embraced that.
Yeah.
That, like, you guys had already done that, And that's why for me, like, it was such a pleasure to come to Italy and Japan and places like that where I rode strange boards, but it wasn't the open-mindedness is a great gift, I think.
Yeah.
Because you can't be stifled, especially in the fact that we're all in it together. But it's a challenge for me, referring back to the question, it's a challenge for me because I live on a farm. I spend a lot of time alone in a shaping bay playing guitar to nobody, which I want to change. I want to be playing music to people more, but that's another story. But when it comes to surfing, I surf the shittier wave to surf on my own, because your podcast being the temple of surf, like, to me it is a temple, and I go there to isolate a lot of times, just to be at one with nature. And people are like, do you worry about sharks, this, that, and the other? I'm like, it may happen, it may not that happens, but I just saw dolphins and a turtle, and I'm putting out good vibes. If I get eaten, the shark may have been sick. It's not, whatever it may be, but I do struggle with the crowded lineups, surfing. So, especially with Corona here in Australia, there's so many people surfing, so many.
Yes.
Little known breaks have 100 people.
Yeah.
So, but then again, like the other day I surfed a more popular wave, not particularly popular, but a little more popular. Like, I don't surf popular breaks anymore, but a relatively known wave. And what you're saying is true. There was a lot of really nice people out there.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I end up talking with a lot of people in California these days. One was Drew Brophy, the artist that it's a very, very famous artist in San Clemente, I guess. And he was telling me, Alessandro, because of this story of coronavirus, people do not move and they don't go in tour. So when we go surfing, we have all these pro in the waters, and they're catching all the waves, and they don't leave to us normal people any wave to ride. And it is unfair. I want the coronavirus to be over, so that pro surfer can go all over the world and can leave the local waves to us, because they're catching everything. And yes, so I guess a lot of people, they go back to nature even in this critical moment. It's good to see that people go back into the normal things, right? And surfing is one of them.
the world is so crazy right now. I think that surfing's such a good barometer for looking at the planet, and as individuals to be able to look at everything in the grand scheme and what really matters and what we care about and what we all, I think power of the people, even though obviously there are definitely some nations where that's not coming into play, but I do honestly still, there might be the hippie surfer in all of us, but I do think that power of the people, look at Black Lives Matter and just injustices in general. I think power of the people's an incredible force.
Yeah, definitely. So you were talking about Italy, and of course I'm Italian. So and I heard, I read in your website that you have like connection between Italy and longboarding, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that?
Well, I think I was just really lucky to have an Italian surf sponsor, Bear Surfboards. They had bought the name from John Milius, who made Big Wednesday. And I know that in Italy that was very much a cult, as it is all around the world. But for me, it felt like Italy, people really embraced that, the brotherhood of friendship and the aspects of the film that were so strong.
Yeah.
But I just really, not in the gangster sense, but more so in the familiar sense, I felt like I was very much embraced there, and I spent months and months and months in Italy all over, and it was pivotal really because I was experimenting with boards at the time, trying to, like at the time we were pretty much forced to ride free fin longboards, which I mean, I don't ride them now really. I ride single fins, but the drive and everything, it's incredible with those boards for sure. There's no denying it. That's why like eggs and mid-lengths or whatever they're called, they've become such a big thing because of that line they draw. But I just felt really humbled and I felt at home, and I was there through many a summer, and I just felt I had flat rocketed boards for there were some days, be it Ravenna or Rome, that I could that it was ankle high, but it's just sheer being able to tap into the ocean, and I loved it. Yeah, it felt like another home to me.
Yeah,
and I stayed at my boss's mother's house, and they had cherry trees in the backyard, and she made me just straight amazing tomato pasta, that she'd made herself. Yeah, I just felt really welcomed, and I miss it. I want to come back.
Anytime.
I've done some shaping in France and the UK, but I'd like to get back there just to reacquaint myself with old friends, and I'd love to take my baby daughter there one day. It'd be a dream because really special. Riding push bikes and eating gelato and pizza every night, and special times, and I don't know, it holds a special place for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was at a time when I was trying to make a living out of surfing, and in the competitive realm, which I couldn't get away from quick enough personally, but it paid the bills and everything. But that time in Italy, culturally and everything, like I broke away from competition to play guitar and never have to paddle out in a coloured singlet again. And I think places like Italy and Japan opened my world up to the arts. And I'm a fan of tennis, but I don't see surfing as a sport. So that's my take.
Okay. No, yeah, definitely. I agree with you. It's a point of view. It's definitely a respectable point of view. And maybe you are Italian at the end, if you like so.
Yeah, and no, unfortunately, I don't have that. Unfortunately, not.
They do those kind of blood tests or like with saliva test, and they discover which are your origin, like centuries ago and whatever.
Yeah, my dad's been doing that, and what is it? Mainly Scottish, German, English,
Okay.
And then I don't know. They shipped us out here after that, I guess, but for whatever reason, stealing an apple or whatever it may be, I don't know. Hopefully, something that small.
Yeah. Among all the surfboards that you, the models of surfboards, kind of surfboard that you shape, is there a particular style that you prefer versus the others?
Yeah, so when it comes to shorter boards, I do a model called the Wombat, which is just a very simple. I rode them in the 90s, and all through the period I was sponsored by Bear. It's basically like if you imagine a squashed longboard, like 6'4", say, simple bottom shape, V bottom, not too much rocker. Nice big center fin and little side fins for hold. I'm still I've made a newer version with a little bit more curve, a little bit narrower outline, and a lot of people remember because that was the only board at that time. No one really made anything like that, so they were being well received because they're a fun board. They're an easy wave catcher. They turn great. You can do cheetah 5 nose rides on them. Just kind of a diverse, really. I think my dad probably drilled it into me, but when it comes to surfboards, basic is good. Like you don't need too much going on,
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like as far as getting your head around your own individual surf style and feeling a board out. I think for general everyday surfers, as in all of us, having a V bottom is a good thing, just so you get to understand just the basic dynamics of how a board rolls onto its rail and follows through its simplicity is key, I think. And the longboards, I mainly shape a V bottom, a little bit of concave under the nose. Basically, my ode to Donald Takayama, because I think he's, obviously McTavish there's so many incredible longboard shapers, but for me, and when I turned a big corner from really, riding free things, it was Donald and his shapes. So, Donald, Diane Takayama knows that I do my best to replicate what Donald had done beforehand. And that's just because he's the best, in my opinion, that's ever been.
I agree with you. I have one surfboard of Donald Takayama called the Scorpion with a V shape, and it's pretty nice board. I really like.
Yeah, I think everyone needs one Donald, no matter what boards you prefer to ride. Or
what was the defining moment of your career, in your opinion?
Yeah, there was always going to be a said expectation, having a father like mine, and all the doors that he broke down as far as the evolution of surfboard design and also the way they performed on a wave. There was always going to be expectation for me to do something well in a competitive framework, especially on a longboard, I guess. And it's a funny one for me. I never, ever, ever felt that pressure. I just, like, when I get involved in something, I'm so, see, I'm trying to sound a little bit Italian. I'm so passionate that I really embrace it. And I fell completely head over heels in the art and love of longboarding. Like I was gone. And I switched from competitive WQS shortboarding virtually overnight. Big pay cut. oh, you're a longboarder. Well, we're going to pay you a quarter of what we're going to pay you to do the qualifying. And I'm like, I don't care. I will wait tables. I will do anything just to focus on that. And obviously winning a world title got the monkey off my back that would be expectations of having any semblance of my dad's surf stardom, I guess. But it was it still blows me out that even happened, but it wasn't like, when you're in that competitive treadmill, I guess that's what everyone's wanting to do and be.
Yeah.
But it's funny how when you achieve that you realize the taste is pretty bitter, because you're going to. That's why my times in Italy were so special, because I wasn't there to do a surfing contest. I was there to make new friends and to appreciate the art, culture, and history of the country I'm in. Whereas traveling on that circus, you'd stay in the same hotel, you'd compete, you'd stretch, you'd stay on it mentally, and you could be doing that in any nation. You could be doing that at home. Everyone needs a job. I get that, but I was just fortunate I could break away. Once the world title thing happened, I broke the hell away so I could surf on what I wanted, how I wanted.
No, definitely. And for what it matters, you can even surf in a surf pool and continue to progress, right? And then at the end, I completely agree what you mean. It's for you. Actually, speaking with you now for some time, I understand that surf for you is not like, as you said, is not a sport. It's a space.
But I have friends that most definitely consider surfing a sport.
Sure.
And I mean, for sure, like, I can see that it can be a sport, and obviously it is, because it's in the Olympics. But surfing, by definition, is so difficult to judge. And obviously the wave pools, you're no longer at the mercy of Mother Ocean.
Exactly.
You're sent the same. You sent the same wave, etc., etc. And I haven't even been in a wave pool, but I would love to. Just the experience. I think they're really cool.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
But and then who am I to ever say to discredit the competitive aspect of surfing, because I did it and it afforded me a career, and I'm still, like, to this day, I'm selling surfboards from doing that. At least some. So I don't know, but I do think that the mindset generally is heading way more towards feeling out different equipment and being with Mother Nature.
It's a perspective, right? And every perspective is it's very subjective and personal, and so has to be respected.
Yes.
Like Kelly Slater that will tell you maybe no, surf is a sport and you need to do professionally and you need to train for it, and that's a perspective as well, right? And
yeah, man, it's a true perspective also, for sure.
Yeah, and for the wave pools, a lot of people, they're saying, no, it's not real surfing. But if that allows people that are living in mainland, very far from ocean and sea, to try something that connects them with the water or make their life better or fun, why not? Right? It's
I could not agree more.
Yeah.
And I've got a baby girl, and if it's going to be easy for her to catch a little foam wave in a wave pool and get a feel for surfing, incredible.
Yeah.
And we talk about overpopulation and all of these things, but it doesn't matter how many angry locals you come across. The more surfers, the more people getting to do this incredible thing we do, for the overall mindset of the planet, the better.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your future projects? from a shaping perspective, from a music perspective?
When it comes to shaping, I'm just going to keep whistling away at the craft and better myself. And as we're talking about, make boards for people that as I said and as we spoke about, if somebody sends me an email saying how much they love their wombat or their single fin longboard or whatever it may be that I made, that's so rewarding. So my aim is just to better my craft in that area. And then musically, I have to do another album. I can't just, I've got hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of songs that I've done nothing with. And, I dropped the ball when it came to touring and connecting with the people, and the late nights, really being an early morning surfer, it was tough.
Yeah.
But I guess that's one good thing about Spotify and being able to stream music, is that you can still remain as creative as ever. So I'm working on another album. It's going to be probably, I guess, rather than folk rock, a little more rock influenced, I guess, more pop rock to a degree.
Nice.
But with environmental slant, I guess. And talking to you at the Temple of Surf, one of the songs is called Higher Calling, and that's all about, paddling out and taking from that experience what you will, but ultimately that deeper connection with our planet and everything on it. So threading that with a different pulse, really.
Amazing. So looking forward more surfboards, and as well the album you must release it. It's like has been too long, and as you said, technology allows you to really do like things that you couldn't do like 5 years ago, right? So
for sure,
it's all about reaching people and connecting them. We're going to finish our interview with a short Q&A session, so please answer the first thing that comes up to your mind, okay? The best surfboard that you ever ridden?
Takayama Model T.
Your favorite shaper?
Same again, Donald Takayama.
Okay. Personal question, your favorite song?
Can I pass? I can't even think of one right now.
Today, even, like something that you like to listen today?
If the first song that just came into my head, Tracy Chapman, Talking About a Revolution.
By coincidence, I was listening to it yesterday. It's Tracy Chapman. It's such a great
What a
artist.
gift.
Favorite surf spot?
Straight out the front.
Your favorite surfer?
Pass.
Okay, but you cannot pass the last one. We ask to everybody, and it's nothing to do with surf. Your best relationship advice?
Okay. Speak from the heart.
I guess like speak from the heart and communication and be real helps.
I love how you finished that for me. Yes, speak from the heart and communicate. That's definitely better. From my experience, that has never gone tremendously well when it comes to a partner.
Mm-hmm.
Communication, I think, is key.
Definitely, because you avoid to have a lot of misunderstandings. Actually, it goes more than even a partner. Us as human beings, if we are able to communicate better to each other, then the expectations are set, and there is no need of these words, riots or revolution or, Tracy Chapman talking about revolution.
I think it's you're so on top of it. I should be the one questioning you. That's amazing.
No. No, it's not about me. It's about you. But thanks a lot, Beau, for being on the show with me today. And I look forward to talk to you very soon.
My pleasure.
Ciao. Bye-bye. Hi, it's me again. I hope you enjoyed our today's episode. If you want to know more about us, please follow www.thetempleofsurf.com and all our social media. Mahalo!